Hello everyone and welcome back to the start of our F1 2003 career mode. Yes, we're back out in Barcelona for pre-season testing, ready for the start of the all-new season. For those of you that remember, back in 2003, it was one of the craziest years in Formula 1 history. Williams, McLaren and Ferrari all fought for the world title, and I'm hoping we can get the same story inside this game. Of course, this is pre-season testing where we go through all of the driver transfer news and everything you should expect heading into 2003. And of course, we're going to start this off with our driver transfers. And of course, kicking it off with Williams. Heinz Frentzen took the World Championship at the end of last season and immediately told Williams he would be retiring on the spot. They also decided to sack Jacques Villeneuve ready for the new year as well, after disappointing results throughout the end of 2002, and ultimately his disdain for the team as well really did create quite a rift. So they have hired Fernando Alonso and Juan Pablo Montoya ready for the new season. Yes, a young lineup with a lot to prove as we head into the new campaign. Both of these drivers will want to be trying to deliver in what is a massive, massive opportunity for the pair of them heading into this season. It really does seem like a lot of teams are trying to prioritise youth as we head into 2003, and I think that's going to make things even more predictable as we head into the new campaign. Pre-season testing pace looks very, very good for the Williams team once again, so it looks like they could be trying to make it 3 Constructors' Championships in a row. But yeah, Heinz Frentzen doesn't even want to try and defend his crown from 2002. Next up then is going to be our Ferrari team. Yes, I'm hoping we can try and win a World Championship with Ferrari before this series is done and dusted. And we're just one of 3 teams heading into the new season that I believe has not changed their lineup ready for the new campaign. Michael Schumacher, of course, only a 3-time world champion in this alternate timeline at the moment, really did struggle throughout 2002, but Ferrari still want to try and obviously, build that relationship back up with the German once again. Obviously, we did have a couple of comings together towards the end of last campaign, so I think Ferrari this season are hopefully going to try and, call a number 1 driver a bit sooner if they need to throughout 2003, because especially, again, if we are in an even closer championship fight, we can't afford to risk having, those races where Michael beats me, takes 3 or 7 points away from us. I believe, though, he is still the only driver in this series that has won a race in every single season so far. Of course, only won 1 race last year back at Montreal. Obviously, only won 1 race as well in 2001. But the Ferrari car, as always, looks to be very quick and competitive. And of course, obviously, yeah, I'm sure Michael and I will be fighting right back towards the front, just like we always intend to be. Next up then, probably one of the greatest stories of 2002 has got to be Sauber there, tying with McLaren come the end of the season, but picking up the 3rd place in the Constructors based on countback. They have got a new lineup ready for this season. Olivier Panis returns to Formula 1. Of course, the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix winner had a horrific crash in his cross car in 1997. He's kind of dipped in and out of this series, but Sauber wanted to offer him another go. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to see how the Frenchman is going to get on throughout 2003. And he will be joined by young Italian in Jarno Trulli, ready for the new season as well. Sauber, though, I'll be honest, their pre-season testing pace is not looking fantastic. They don't seem to be, way off the back of the field or anything like that, but they definitely don't seem to be as competitive as they were in 2002. It really does seem like they kind of put a lot of their development focus in trying to make sure they got that 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship last season. So I think, yeah, both Olivier and Jarno there are going to really, really struggle in the early races of 2003. But that being said, hopefully they can spring a surprise once again, because, this time in 2002, I don't think anyone thought they were going to be particularly competitive either then. Next up, of course, is McLaren. A very, very disappointing campaign for them. After a World Drivers' Championship with myself in 2001, narrowly missing out on the Constructors, of course, are very, very well publicised. A complete kind of collapse in the relationship between myself and Ron Dennis. David Coulthard is going to be sticking with the team ready for the new season, but Alexander Wurz, after some terrible results throughout 2002, has been dropped in favour of a other young driver. This time round, just like the movie made IRL in 2003, Kimi Raikkonen is joining McLaren as well. Of course, IRL joined in 2002, but very, very excited to see what Kimi can do over the course of the year. Like I said, he, Fernando Alonso, Juan Pablo Montoya, three very, very highly rated drivers inside, you know, kind of this era of Formula 1, and all of them now with a big opportunity fighting at the front of the order. I think Kimi Raikkonen is going to be one to watch this season. I think if McLaren can bounce back and give him a car that can deliver, I think he could genuinely be world champion in his first time not driving a Minardi car inside this game. Only time will tell, though. Of course, a lot can change over the 16 races of the all-new season. But yeah, McLaren, they definitely look stronger than they did last year. Another team that was very, very good throughout the opening half of 2002 was BAR. They're again another team that just kept their driver lineup. Anthony Davidson just came out of the gates absolutely flying along. So many big results early on in the campaign. We did really wonder whether he could be a threat towards Williams and Ferrari, but kind of after the summer break, BAR's pace in that car just completely fell apart. Whether they've just focused all their efforts on 2003, only time will tell. But yeah, Davidson alongside Zob Baumgartner again ready for the new season. It was felt the Hungarian obviously struggled against Anthony Davidson, but they worked quite well together. They were very, very close and very, very friendly. And BAR, yeah, prioritising that both of their drivers are happy and comfortable and confident, because ultimately a confident driver in Formula 1 is going to be a quick driver in Formula 1. Anthony Davidson, though, he will obviously be looking to hope that the team can try and take a step forward as we head into the new year. But again, are they going to be able to try and fight with the big dogs? Only time will tell. Bigger pressure coming from the likes of Renault and a few other organisations, Toyota as well, of course, a Japanese rival as we head into the new year. So yeah, for Anthony Davidson and Zob Baumgartner, they are going to have their work cut out as we head throughout 2003. But BAR, they could be one to keep your eye on as well as we head into the new season. Next up then is going to be the Renault Formula 1 team, and they have got a changed lineup. Jenson Button sticking with the team, ready for the new season, but alongside him, he's going to be McLaren reject of Alexander Wurz there. Button, very, very unlucky not to pick up a couple of podiums throughout last season. That Renault car looked very, very quick, but it did have a tendency to break down right when it looked like it was going to get some big results. JB, though, really was able to extract a lot out of the car throughout last season, and Alexander Wurz as well. It is going to be interesting to see what he can do with the team as we head into the new campaign as well. Obviously, Renault's pace does seem to have taken a step forward, although they don't look to be as strong as your Williams, as your McLarens, as your Ferraris this year. They could be a real threat, obviously, with BAR in just kind of in that battle behind. Maybe they can try and spring a surprise. Maybe again, if Button gets a circuit that he and the car feel comfortable at, you know, they could definitely fight for podiums and maybe even a win over the course of the year. It really does feel like we've got 6, maybe even 7 teams that if things really fall into place for them, they could be very, very strong as we head into the new season. 2003, I honestly am so excited for the campaign. A team that might not be so excited, though, is going to be Jaguar. Obviously had so many great results through kind of 1999, 2000, and 2001. And they've just kind of fallen off a bit. Jaguar's continual lack of willingness, it feels like, to kind of give them a good development budget meant they fell down the order last season to P7 in the Constructors. They were a fairly distant P7 in the end when all was said and done. Just never quite close enough to really challenge, occasionally picking up points. They have kept their driver lineup, though, of Rubens Barrichello and Mark Webber for yet another season. So yeah, that's obviously another organisation that has kept their driver lineup the same as we head into the new year. But ultimately, I would not be betting much money on Jaguar. They might feel quite confident around a few circuits over the course of the year. That car did seem to be fairly good around some of the more high-speed venues as well. But like I said, with those teams that we've already spoke about looking very, very strong, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Jaguar to really kind of spring a surprise as we make our way throughout 2003. That being said, though, I really like both Barrichello and Mark Webber, so I'm hoping they can both have a good season throughout 2003. Just try and extract what they can out of that Jaguar car as well. Next up then is going to be Jordan. Of course, 4 points last year was allowing them to stay ahead of Toyota and Minardi in the Constructors' Championship. Of course, obviously, in real life, unfortunately, we have lost the great Eddie Jordan. So I'm hoping that team this year is going to be able to try and spring a few surprises as well. Of course, Giancarlo Fisichella taking the last win for the Jordan team, obviously back in 2002, I want to say. It might have been 2003, though. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. They have kept Ralf Schumacher and Takuma Sato into the new year, of course, backed by those Mugen power units, obviously, hence why Sato's kept his seat, and Ralf Schumacher as well, able to get some really good results. Jordan was definitely, of the backmarker 3 teams last year, the one that could kind of spring a surprise, could be kind of fighting in and around the points. They almost scored in the season finale at Sao Paulo last season as well, so hopefully for both of their drivers, they're going to have a little bit more of a competitive car this year. But again, ultimately, I think especially with the progress it looks like Toyota has made, their battle is likely going to be up against Minardi throughout 2003 as well there. Of course, Ralf Schumacher, I really want to see what he can do in a better car, but ultimately, so many teams now it feels like the ship has almost sailed on him kind of being regarded as a highly rated driver. Easily the team with the most anticipation, though, coming into 2003 has got to be Toyota. They have picked up Jacques Villeneuve from Williams, of course, so a World Champions provisional within the organisation, and they have teamed him up with Giancarlo Fisichella, ready for the new year. Toyota, obviously buying out the Arrows team late in the winter of 2001. 2002 was ultimately just a year of kind of finding their footing, and basically just kind of being on the grid and kind of learning what they had to on the circuit. 2003, though, they are really planning on trying to make a leap forward as we make our way through the campaign. And ultimately, pre-season testing pace is looking a lot better for the Toyota team as well. So I'm hoping they're going to be a threat, kind of for points at the very least at the start of the year. I'm sure they will want to try and get their first points on the board sooner rather than later. Like I said, what is Villeneuve going to be able to do with all his experience from the Williams team there? Giancarlo Fisichella, of course, the young Italian, can deliver great results, but doesn't often deliver great results. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how these two fare over the course of the campaign. Like I said, I think if Toyota don't score again, real questions are going to be raised in Japan, but ultimately with their pace at the start of the year, surely points are going to be going their way. Last up then is going to be Minardi, and it basically feels like inside this series, Minardi is basically now just a test bed for kind of hot young talent inside the sport. Nick Heidfeld, after racing with the team, I believe, back in 2000, he's going to be back once again for 2003, and he is joined by a young Brazilian in Felipe Massa. He's been touted as the next big thing from Brazil. Could he become the next world champion for the Brazilian country? Obviously, after Ayrton Senna back in the early 90s as well. Only time will tell. Ultimately, Minardi, they were a long way off the pace in 2002. They don't seem to be much better as we head into 2003. I think it's going to be another year of struggling, another year where 2 young drivers are basically hoping for a miracle if they're going to be able to deliver any kind of results throughout the course of the campaign. But you've got to love the Minardi team. That car as well looks absolutely fantastic. Easily one of the best liveries, I would argue. Actually, to be fair, I genuinely don't think there's a bad livery on this 2003 grid. The mod, again, does a fantastic job, but 2003 was just a great year for Formula 1 cars as well in terms of the looks department. The whole season was absolutely fantastic, though. I'm hoping we can get a similar story. The season kicks off, of course, in Albert Park, Australia, before we head to Bahrain. Shanghai for round 3 before the European leg of Barcelona and Monaco, before a quick jump out to Baku and Montreal before we return for the French Grand Prix, Austria, Silverstone and Hungaroring before the summer break, Belgium, Italy and the Hockenheim Ring after the summer break there before Japan, and of course the season finale out in Sao Paulo. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Round 1 of the season will be live tomorrow on the channel, but if you're a channel member, you'll already be able to access it, obviously with the early access membership by clicking the join button down below. But yeah, that's going to do us for this one then, and we will be back ready for the Australian Grand Prix.